Hey everyone, welcome back to another PNSO review. Today we're taking a look at our third Giganotosaur species released in a row from them. It's Mila, the Mapusaurus. Not gonna lie, I kind of like how PNSO flexed and gave us, three Giganotosaur species in a row. All three species, the Giganotosaurus, Mapusaurus, and Maraxus, are very, very similar looking animals. But I think it's pretty cool that we actually have this, diverse species of these animals right now. And I really, really hope they quadruple down and just give us a Tyrannotitan just to complete it. They haven't released anything new since the time of this review, but really fingers crossed for Tyrannotitan. Now I ended up getting this figure from PNSO's AliExpress store. Figure retails for $42.99. There's a small shipping charge. I think it's around $6. I usually order from Amazon or AliExpress. Whoever puts it up first. I've noticed ordering from Amazon, they usually charge you like 12, 13 bucks for shipping. So I'm glad I snagged it off AliExpress for the reduced shipping cost. The link to order that is down below in the description. So let's go over the package really quick before we take a look at this Mapusaurus. We have a beautiful picture of Mila on the front of the box. Top of the box, we got another side view of the animal. Really not much out other than picture of the head. On the side of the box, my camera did not like me bringing the box that close, and you also get a pamphlet inside with some nice pictures of the actual figure itself and some details about the teeth and claws, and we got a skeleton and how to draw a Mapusaurus, blah blah blah. And we do mercifully get only one poster in this box. This is not a museum line, so we're not going to get like 30 posters, but here is the artwork right here of the Mapusaurus. You see a little bit of fuzz on the back of the neck. It does have the lipless look, but that is another discussion a little bit later on in the review. So enough about the packaging. Let's take Mila out of the packaging and throw up on the turntable. And here is the Mapusaurus out of the packaging. I have to say, what an absolutely gorgeous looking figure. It is sculpted in a nice stalking pose with its head lowered, walking forward, just really, really nicely done. I like how PNSO gave all three Giganotosaurs different poses to kind of differentiate them on your shelf. The color scheme is, kind of bland. PNSO is kind of like, they really like their browns and greens. The Maraxus was a breath of fresh air, and you know what, I'm okay with this. It's a large predator, and I do appreciate the earth tones. We got some light and dark gray all over the body, and just a hint of light brown along the flanks, neck, and along the fenestra of the skull. But all around, just a really, really nice looking figure. And I like the subtle differences between this and Giganotosaurus. Mapusaurus and Giganotosaurus are very, very closely related, but I got the PNSO Giga figure that I will take a little bit later on in comparison to show you the minute differences between these two animals. But all around, just a great, great looking figure. Has a lot of shelf presence to it. And now for some measurements. This figure is just over 14 inches long from the tip of the snout to the tip of the tail, about 36 centimeters, and about 4¼ inches tall. To the top of the hips are 10.7 centimeters. So Mapusaurus in real life is estimated between 36 to 40 feet long, or 11 to 12.2 meters. So I'll put this figure somewhere in the 130 to the 134 scale range. Now let's zoom in and take a look at some of the finer details on this figure, starting with this beautiful head sculpt. PNSO has really come a long way over the years. We have nice proportionate scales all over the body of this figure. Lots of scale variation all over the head. We have all these large pressure scales at the front of the snout. You can even see some dry, some wash in there to give it that caked on dirt look between all those large scales. You can see the nostril sculpted in right here with a hint of brown around the inorbital fenestra. The eye is painted yellow with a black pupil. It seems to have a tiny bit of a paint smudge on mine. It's really not that big of a deal. It's just really noticeable when the camera's zoomed in this close. You can see more large scales lining the lips. Now, speaking of the lips, this is the lipless look. A paper recently came out with strong evidence that dinosaurs did have lips. That's, due to the enamel. It was a T-Rex tooth. The tooth was in the mouth for a year. It showed very little enamel wear, versus crocodiles and alligators have their teeth outside that don't have lips. There was a lot more wear on them. So there's very strong evidence that they did have lips, but the jury is still out on that. So I wonder if PNSO will follow suit with later releases giving their figures lips. You can see the teeth are nicely sculpted. They're painted a nice white color. They have a little bit of a dry brush on there to give them a dirty look. The gum tissue is really nicely done. Got a nice wash on there to give it that nice glossy look inside the mouth, the tongue. There's some nice detail on it. and the roof of the mouth is always well detailed on these PNSO figures. You can see the nasal passages sculpted in right there. It's always a nice touch. I always appreciate on every figure I see that on. You can see the ear canal sculpted in. Here is a view of the head from the front and from the top. And let's take out the PNSO Giganotosaurus figure just to show you the slight differences between the two species. Like I said, both are very, very similar. Now, the main difference is, Mapusaurus is the older of the two species, and inside the skull in this area right here, it had two openings on the middle quadrant, this bone right here, and there's some differences between the nasal rugosities, that's the crest along the top. So it's really the two big differences between the two species. Other than that, they're pretty much indistinguishable. If you hand me this Mapusaurus figure and I had no clue what it was, I would just assume it was a Giganotosaurus figure. And as you can see, the jaw is articulated. It can open up that wide and it can close completely flush. And then going down to the very thick and powerful neck, you have some nice folds and wrinkles and very fine scale detail all over the body of some large osteoderms peppered throughout the entire body. The color scheme, like I said, it's very, natural looking. It's kind of bland, but I think it works on a large theropod like this. You have all dark gray for the top of the body and some dark gray striping along the side and some splotches along the thigh, a little bit of light brown on the flanks and neck right here. Here's a view from the top. Very thick and powerful looking body all the way down to the base of that tail. Going down to the arms are nicely sculpted and powerful looking. Those hand claws are nice and sharp and painted in a light brown color. Going down to the legs, very thick and powerful looking legs and bulging calf muscles. Love the stalking pose that the figure comes in. Looks really, really nice. It balances really well. And totally forgot to do it earlier on. Yes, you do get a display stand for this figure. I always highly recommend using them so they don't fall over in your shelf. These figures do tend to warp over time. Toes are nicely done. The claws are done in that nice glossy brown paint. And then going down to the tail, nice thick tail base, more folds and wrinkles. That dark gray turns into some nice banding and blotches all the way down to the tip of the tail. And here is the underside of the figure. Nice scale detail on the lower jaw and all the way down the body. Even the bottom of the feet has some really, really nice scale detail. My camera jumped at that. Likes to go into macro mode when stuff gets really close, just like that. And then let's just do our dinosaur butthole check. We have a very, very tiny little baby Mapusaurus butthole right there. So yeah, all around this figure is absolutely great looking. Really happy how it turned out. And now for comparisons, first up here is Collecte's 140 scale human figure. And next up here it is with the 3 Giganotosaur species that PNSO released right in a row, or the Jig 3 I like to call them. Here is the Giganotosaurus, the Mapu, and the Maraxes. And one thing I want to point out, the Mapusaurus and Giganotosaurus are pretty much the same exact size figure. The Giga was a museum line release, which cost $60. You get, that 8 million posters and all those postcards and all that nonsense that 99% of us that collect these figures aren't going to use. The Mapusaurus only costs $42. So there's an $18 swing with these museum line figures versus the prehistoric animal models line. So I kind of always cringe when I see something getting released in the Dinosaur Museum line. I know it's an automatic $50. Remember how I told you those clear display rods are very, very important. But yeah, just something I wanted to point out that, just the price point, with similar size figures. The worst offender is still the Centaurosaurus for $60. Absolutely love that figure to death, but man, did they rail us up the cloaca with that $60 price point. And next up here is Collecte's take on Mapusaurus. This is the standard version. There is a deluxe version that is a lot bigger. Never picked up the deluxe one because I just really did not look like the way the legs look. They look too long and skinny and like stick-like, so I'm glad I held off on the larger version because the PNSO one is definitely far, far superior. And let's do a bunch of different PNSO figures. Here it is with their Taurosaurus. And next up, I have all the figures in my lap, so I'm just going to grab random ones. Here it is with their Spinosaurus, and everyone's been waiting for them to do a larger version of their Spino. I'm sure one is eventually coming, known PNSO. And what else we have here? Here it is with their Therizinosaurus. That's a little too tall for the camera. And speaking of that $60 offender, here it is with the beautiful yet overpriced Centausaurus. And let's just do one more. Here it is with the Suchomimus that does not want to stand, man. I'm just beating up these figures today. See, my studio, I've been using it so long, has kind of like a dip, like a wear in the middle, and just I got to get a new studio. That's what I need to do. And next up, here it is with Wilson. And I know a lot of people have been clamoring for a redo on Wilson because when this figure came out, everyone complained that the scales were very oversized. PNSO obviously listened, and future releases, the scale sizes have been greatly reduced and much more proportionate now. But if PNSO is going to redo T-Rex, I hope they wait and give us a lipped version, with proportionate scales. If they already have one in the works, just redo the head. Make a lot of us happy. And lastly, here is a nice group shot of Giganotosauridae. These are all related species. We got Mapusaurus up here, the Safari, Concavinator, Maraxus, Collectae, Neovenator, PNSOs, Acrocanthosaurus, Giganotosaurus, and Carcharodontosaurus. So final thoughts on PNSO's Mapusaurus. Another fantastic figure. They've been on a real roll this year, even last year too. They've been killing it for the last 2.5 years in a row. The Mapusaurus and Giganotosaurus and Maraxus are very similar looking animals, both the different color schemes and the different poses. Really cool to display all three species on your shelf. I really applaud PNSO for, tripling down on Giganotosaur. I know some people aren't happy about that, but I'm okay with it. Like I said, really hope there's a Tyrannotitan coming out next. And I really, really want to see some sauropods from them and feathered dromaeosaurs. It's something that's been really lacking from them, and I hope some of those are in the works. Now, like I said at the beginning of the review, I ended up ordering mine from PNSO's AliExpress store. The figure retails for around $42. The link to that is down below in the description, or you can wait a couple of weeks and it'll be on Prime and Amazon. It'll save you money on the shipping cost. So that will do it for the review. I do have a couple new figures that did come in this week, so I got a few reviews planned before I go on vacation. Probably won't see anything posted next week until I get back, but I'm going to try to get a few reviews recorded ahead of time to have them post up over the weekend, so stay tuned for all that. And as always, if you're enjoying the content on this channel, show your support by hitting that subscription button just below the video. Each subscription helps out the channel tremendously, and it's greatly appreciated. And I'll see you guys for the next one.